My beloved child, stop scrolling for just a moment, because what happened inside your soulmate's home recently was never supposed to reach your ears. There was no message sent to you. No phone call. No announcement. And yet, your name was spoken. Not by your soulmate. Not by a friend. But by the one person whose opinion could change everything. Their mother. She had been watching quietly for a very long time. Watching how her son, or her daughter, changed whenever your name came up. Watching the silence after every conversation. Watching the late-night thoughts they tried to hide. At first, she believed it would all disappear with time. She thought these feelings were only temporary. She thought life would move on. But something happened this week that made her realize she had been completely wrong. Last night, she walked past your soulmate's room. The light was still on. It was much later than usual. She gently opened the door. And what she saw made her stop without saying a single word. Your soulmate wasn't texting anyone. Wasn't watching television. Wasn't sleeping. Instead, they were quietly holding something that reminded them of you. Their eyes looked different. Not angry. Not confused. Just empty. As though a part of their heart had never truly left the place where you once stood. For several minutes, she said nothing. She simply watched. Then she quietly closed the door and walked away. But the questions inside her heart refused to stay silent. Why hadn't they smiled the same way in months? Why did every conversation somehow return to you? Why did they always pretend everything was fine, when she knew it wasn't? The next morning, she made a decision. Not a small one. A decision that nobody else in the family knew about. A decision that could completely change the future between you and your soulmate. But before she acted, she wanted one final answer. So later that afternoon, she sat beside your soulmate. There was a long silence. Then she gently asked a question they never expected to hear. Tell me honestly, have you really forgotten them? The room became completely silent. Your soulmate looked down. Their hands started trembling slightly. Several seconds passed. No answer. Because sometimes, silence reveals more truth than words ever can. Their mother looked into their eyes. And in that moment, she understood everything. She didn't need an explanation anymore. She had already seen the answer. But what she decided to do next shocked even your soulmate. Because instead of telling them to move on, she quietly stood up, walked toward another room, reached for her phone, and searched for something connected to you. What she found on that screen changed her expression completely. She whispered only a few words to herself. Maybe I was wrong all along. Stay with me, my beloved child. Because what happened after that phone was unlocked. And the unexpected person she decided to contact changed the entire direction of this story. My beloved child, before you assume you already know what happened next, listen carefully. Because the decision your soulmate's mother made did not come from emotion alone. It came from something she had noticed for months. She unlocked her phone. She searched your name. Not because she wanted to judge you. Not because she wanted to find fault in you, but because a mother's heart always looks for the truth before making an important decision. She quietly looked through everything she could find. A photograph, a small detail, a familiar smile. Then she stopped. There was something about you that made her pause much longer than she expected. She looked again. And again. Then she softly whispered, "This isn't the person I imagined." At that exact moment, your soulmate walked into the room. They froze. Their mother quickly locked the phone. For a few seconds, neither of them spoke. Finally, she broke the silence. "Sit down. I need to ask you something." Your soulmate slowly sat across from her. Their heart was already racing. They had no idea this conversation was about to change everything. She looked directly into their eyes and asked, "If they came back today, would you still choose them?" The question landed like thunder. Your soulmate tried to answer immediately, but no words came out. Because deep inside, they already knew the truth. After several long seconds, they quietly nodded. Just once. Their mother noticed it. She smiled, not a big smile. Just the kind of smile that appears when someone finally understands what has been hidden for a long time. She reached across the table, placed her hand gently over theirs, and said, "Then stop pretending your heart has moved on." Those words broke every wall your soulmate had been trying to keep standing. For the first time in a very long while, their eyes filled with tears. Not because they were weak, but because someone had finally understood the pain they had been carrying in silence. Their mother listened as they spoke honestly. About the memories. About the regret. About the conversations they wished had ended differently. About you. Every single sentence brought one name back into the room. Your name. When they finished speaking, their mother became very quiet. She looked toward the window for a long moment, as if she were thinking through something important. Then, she stood up, walked to a small drawer, took out an old notebook, opened one particular page. Inside was something your soulmate had written months ago. Something they thought nobody had ever seen. The very first line read, "No matter how hard I try, I can't stop thinking about them." The room fell silent again. Their mother slowly closed the notebook, looked into your soulmate's eyes, and said, "I think it's time we stop fighting what was always real." But neither of them realized. Someone else had quietly overheard the entire conversation from outside the room. And what that person did only minutes later would create a situation no one in the family was prepared for. My beloved child, stay with me. Because the person standing outside that room had heard far more than anyone realized. They hadn't meant to listen. They had only been walking past. But the moment they heard your name, they stopped. Without making a sound. Every word from inside reached them clearly. When the conversation finally ended, they quietly stepped away before anyone noticed. A few minutes later, your soulmate's mother walked into the kitchen. She found